Good afternoon. Good afternoon, my YouTube family. Good afternoon, Clubhouse. Oh, I see you, Miss Jackie. Hey, Muhammad. Thank y'all for joining me in the space today. Y'all know what time it is, YouTube. You know what time it is, Clubhouse. It is Keeping Up with Congress. You know I come to you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know, we will not get reparations, y'all, without negotiation. So I am coming to you live on YouTube in Clubhouse. And I come over to the Clubhouse space right at the half hour and we chop it up over there. But we gotta get it right, y'all. We gotta know the players. We gotta know the game. Playing politics, it is a sport. It's definitely a sport. And we got to know how to play. So I am Tamara Johnson Shealey. If you are watching me right here live on YouTube, hit that like button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit that notification, and share, y'all. I need you to share this broadcast if you are watching me live. Ping some folks into the room, Miss Jackie. Just ping them. I hope you know how to ping. you might not know how to ping yet. But I'll come over to the Clubhouse space right at the half hour, catch up with you and introduce you. I'm sure there'll be some people in the room. They usually come in a few minutes late, but they coming. Hey, Miss, I see you down there. Thank you for joining me. Let's dive into these bills, y'all. I've been trying to find us some reparations information. I like to bring reparations information at the top of the hour. But when I tell you there's nobody talking about reparations right now, that's pretty sad. And we got to make our voices heard. We got to be sure that, we're continuing to stomp and continue to make noise, because we can't go to sleep and we can't let them go to sleep on us. So hadn't found any news, not one article about reparations, not one right now floating around in the media. But we're going to dive into the House bills. Let's dive in. This is HR1036. HR1036. This is the Bassam Barabandi Rewards for Justice Act. Bassam Barabandi Rewards for Justice Act. This bill was introduced by Representative Joe Wilson, Republican out of South Carolina, y'all. Republican out of South Carolina. This actually passed over in the House. It says this bill expands the Department of State's rewards program to allow rewards for providing information that leads to the identification or location of an entity or individual that knowingly violates U.S. or United Nations sanctions. So this is Representative Joe Wilson, Republican out of South Carolina. HR 1037. HR 1037 is the BARN Act, BARN, the BARN Act, which stands for Better Agricultural Resources Now Act, or the BARN Act. I had to look into this because this was introduced by someone right here in the state of Georgia, our very own Representative Rick Allen, Republican, here in Georgia. I was like, okay, what is this? What is this BARN Act? So here's his press release. It says this legislation is to reform and strengthen the H-2A visa program that allows agriculture employers to hire workers for temporary labor. It says, this is his quote, "American farmers rely on the H-2A program to hire temporary workers during critical planting and harvesting seasons." This is Congressman Allen. It says, "Too often, unnecessary delays in the application process and overall neglect of the program hurt the very people that the program was designed to help." It says, "Our agriculture producers who provide our nation's food security." He says, "My bill will transfer responsibility of H-2A certification from the Department of Labor to the Department of Agriculture, which is better suited to meet the needs of farmers and their time-sensitive operations." So he wants to transfer the responsibility of these specific visas, the H-2A certification, from the Department of Labor to the Department of Agriculture. Y'all, I don't know if we should be doing this. He said, which they are better suited to meet the needs of farmers and their time-sensitive operations. I don't know about this. I'm questioning this because these are definitely migrant workers that you're bringing in to do the work. I understand, but we need, I don't know if we wanted the Department of Agriculture to be the overseer. Let's say the right word. We don't want the Department of Agriculture to be the overseer. I think it should remain with the Department of Labor. I don't know if I trust it. We have enough issues with the Department of Agriculture, specifically with our Black farmers, our farmers of color. So I don't know if they are, quote unquote, as he says, better suited to meet the needs of farmers and their time sensitive operations. I don't know. I don't know about this. So this is Rick Allen, y'all. He's a Republican right here in Georgia. HR 1037. HR 1038. HR 1038 is Enhancing Administrative Reviews for Broadband Deployment Act. Enhancing Administrative Reviews for Broadband Deployment Act. This is HR 1038. Representative Armstrong, Kelly Armstrong, Republican out of North Dakota. It says this bill directs the Department of the Interior and the Department of Agriculture to report to Congress on communications use authorizations. So on communications use authorizations, these are authorizations to modify or locate communication facilities on public lands. I looked this up just because I just wanted to really kind of understand where they were going with this Enhancing Administrative Reviews for Broadband Deployment Act. So it says this is a package of 28 bills, a package of bills that aim to turbocharge public and private investment by promoting new and upgraded infrastructure deployments, boosting competition, streamlining permitting processes, and facilitating broadband deployment on federal lands and closing the digital divide in both rural and urban areas. It says, this is his quote, it says, the COVID-19 pandemic has amplified the challenges faced by families and workers who still do not have reliable access to the internet. It says this has prevented millions from accessing vital health care, remote work, and economic resources. Unreliable internet and internet broadband access has also set countless children back in school because of connectivity issues, while far too many schools remain closed. It says it's unacceptable and hurting the next generation. To make a strong comeback from this pandemic, every House Republican on energy and commerce is leading in the boosting broadband connectivity agenda so America closes the digital divide. It says this agenda will get education back on track and promote economic opportunity for all Americans across the entire country. So this is the way they see it. HR 1038, Enhancing Administrative Reviews for Broadband Deployment Act. I can just tell you that as I've traveled around the state here in Georgia and going into these rural communities, y'all, the fact that the internet is choppy, your phone service, it just barely works. It is something that we definitely need to address, the broadband, the internet access in our rural communities. I get it. HR 1038. HR 1039 is the Coastal Broadband Deployment Act. Coastal Broadband Deployment Act. This is Representative Bilirakis, Gus Bilirakis. He's a Republican out of Florida. More broadband. This bill excludes certain communication facility deployment or modification projects from specified review requirements. And I looked this one up because I didn't understand why you want to exclude certain communication facility deployment or modification projects from specified review requirements. So I looked this one up. I really wanted to, like I said, we're going to have to know the players. We're going to have to know the game. So we have to look these bills up so that we'll understand the specifics. So this is Bilirakis. Says this Coastal Broadband Deployment Act, which would accelerate the deployment of broadband projects entirely within a floodplain. Says this legislation is part of a comprehensive package of bills that aim to streamline the deployment of broadband infrastructure. This package, spearheaded by Republican members of the Energy and Commerce Committee, would promote new and upgraded infrastructure deployments, incentivize competition and consumer choice, create right-sized regulations for building infrastructure across industries, and facilitate broadband deployment on federal lands. So here's something I thought was interesting. It says more than 21 million Americans could not access broadband before COVID-19. So 21 million Americans could not access broadband before COVID. It says, and the pandemic has made even more clear how vital these services are as Americans work, learn, and receive health care from home. It says, through this package, Republicans are leading the way to close the digital divide for all Americans. Yeah, I definitely agree. We have to be very mindful about making sure that everybody has access. HR 1040 is the Flat Tax Act. Flat Tax Act, y'all. This is Representative Burgess, Michael Burgess. He's a Republican out of Texas. It says this bill authorizes an individual or person engaged in business activity to make an irrevocable election to be subject to a flat tax in lieu of the existing income tax provisions of 19% for the first 2 years after an election is made and 17% thereafter. So his proposal is that we go to a flat tax versus having in lieu of the existing income tax provisions. So this is Representative Burgess, Michael Burgess, Republican out of Texas. So those are our House bills for the afternoon. We're almost at the half hour. I'm going to come over to the clubhouse space and we can chop it up over there. Thank you, YouTube, for following. Thank you for being with me in this journey to the United States Senate. You know, this is something that I can't do without you. I hope that you will continue to support, donate, be a part of it. We honestly have this month, we have next month, and half of November. So, you know, between now and Thanksgiving, that's it for preparation. When we come out of the gate in January, we got to be running hard and we got to be running strong. So this is why I come to you consistently. This is why I keep showing up, is because when this campaign takes off in January, we can't be getting ready. We got to be ready. And for us to be ready, it's going to require us to do all we can right here and right now. This is preparation time. You don't get ready in January. Between January and May, we got to be ready and we got to be running and hitting this thing hard. We got to be everywhere we need to be. We got to spend money everywhere. We got to have all our ducks in a row. So I'm asking you, and I'm passing the collection plate right now at this quarter of the hour. Make a contribution to the website. Do what you can. Do what you can. Do what you can. You might could give whatever right now, and you get on a consistent payment plan and say, okay, I'm gonna give you XYZ on this time every month, and I'm gonna be consistent. I'm gonna encourage others to do the same. This is all I have, y'all. I'm telling you, from now until May, this is it. I'm done politically in the state of Georgia. I'm done. Your girl will be toast. So if we don't win and this doesn't happen, you can't say I didn't try. You can't say I didn't give this 5 election cycles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consistent election cycles. You can't say I didn't. And I will be able to hold my head up proudly and say I did all I could. But this is bigger than me. It's bigger than me. Reparations is a debt owed. I don't know another candidate. So I'm going to leave it there. Let's dive back in. Senate Bill 588. Senate Bill 588 is the Addressing Climate Financial Risk Act of 2021. Addressing Climate Financial Risk Act of 2021. This is Dianne Feinstein, Democrat out of California. It says this bill establishes the Climate Risk Advisory Committee that must consult with the Financial Stability Oversight Council of the Department of the Treasury regarding a report on the impact of climate risk on U.S. financial stability. So this is addressing climate financial risk Act of 2021, Democrat Dianne Feinstein out of California. Senate Bill 589. Senate Bill 589 is the Chris Allen Multi-Employer Pension Recapitalization and Reform Act of 2021. The Chris Allen Multi-Employer Pension Recapitalization and Reform Act of 2021. This is Senator Grassley. We actually heard from Senator Grassley yesterday. I told y'all that man been in Congress since 1975. 75, y'all. I was 3. But this is his bill. Let's see what it says. It says this bill is to avert the collapse of critically underfunded multi-employer pension plans and reform rules for these plans to prevent future funding shortfalls within these important pillars of the American retirement system. That was a lot. He said a lot, and I still don't know what he said, but let's dive into it. Let's get his quote. He says, the multi-employer pension system is in serious trouble, and the PBGC, its insurer of last resort, is set to be insolvent in 5 years. It says, absent changes. It says this bill ensures both short-term and long-term sustainability and provides security for so many American workers who otherwise could see their retirement plans evaporate. It says, last Congress, as chairman of the Financial Committee, I worked to incorporate a broad range of input, and Democrats finally began working with us in earnest last year. It says, unfortunately, they have abandoned those efforts in favor of an $86 billion bailout in their partisan COVID relief package. It says not only is their plan totally unrelated to the pandemic, but it also does nothing to address the root cause of the problem. It says without a plan like the one I'm proposing, taxpayers will be on the hook for another bailout down the road. This is Senator Grassley, y'all. Senator Grassley. S590 is the Confucius Act. Confucius Act, it says this bill addresses China's influence on post-secondary educational institutions through Confucius Institutes, which are cultural institutes directly or indirectly funded by the Chinese government. So this is the Confucius Institutes, the Chinese government. It says this bill addresses China's influence on post-secondary education here in these United States. So they want to take a look at what's really going on. Senator Kennedy, this is John Kennedy, Republican out of Louisiana. Senate Bill 591, we got about 10 more minutes and 10 more bills, y'all. Senate Bill 591, Background Check Completion Act of 2021. This is Senator Blumenthal, Richard Blumenthal. He's a Democrat out of Connecticut. It says this bill prohibits a licensed gun dealer from transferring a firearm to an unlicensed person prior to the completion of a background check. It says current law permits a licensed gun dealer to transfer a firearm to an unlicensed person if a submitted background check remains incomplete after 3 business days. So really, so you can get your gun if it remains if your background check is not done within 3 days, they just gonna go ahead and give it to you. Wow. So this is the Background Check Completion Act of 2021, Senator Blumenthal. It prohibits a licensed gun dealer from transferring a firearm to an unlicensed person prior to the completion of a background check. So they want to make sure these background checks are done. Don't just give it to them in 3 days because the background check is not done. So I tell you, we see this a lot. There's several kinds of bills we see. We see abortion bills, veterans, immigration, national security, gun legislation like we just read, and streamlining the processes. Senate Bill 591. Senate Bill 592 is the Broadband Reserve Fund Act of 2021, the Broadband Reserve Fund Act of 2021. This is Senator Wicker. This is Senator Roger Wicker. He's a Republican out of Mississippi. It says this bill establishes the Broadband Reserve Fund, unto which the proceeds from certain spectrum auctions must be deposited. So I was curious, y'all, to continue reading, like, okay, so where does money going? It says the Federal Communication Commission and the National Telecommunications and Information Administration may use the amounts in the fund if Congress specifically authorizes the spending. Okay. It says this bill also expresses the sense of Congress regarding the purpose for which amounts in the fund should be used, including 1, broadband deployment in underserved areas, and 2, distance and remote learning, 3, securing the telecommunications supply chain, and 4, telehealth technology. So this broadband reserve fund, these monies are earmarked. So that was good. I don't like to see funds set up and then we're not clear what the money's going to be used for. So they're specific. This is Senator Roger Wicker, Republican out of Mississippi. Senate Bill 593. Senate Bill 593 is the Alaska Tourism Restoration Act. Alaska Tourism Restoration Act. This is Senator Murkowski, Lisa Murkowski. She's a Republican out of Alaska, AK. Yep, Alaska. This bill, and it actually passed in the Senate. This bill temporarily allows foreign-owned and flagged cruise ships to transport passengers directly between ports in the states of Washington and Alaska without stopping in Canada. Now, I thought this was interesting for those of you that travel, that like cruises. I do not like cruises, y'all. I went on one cruise. I will never go on another one. If they don't get me off this damn boat, I was seasick the whole time. I'm like, if they don't get me off this boat, I almost flew off. I was trying to figure out how to get me a flight from the first place we stopped. if it wasn't so expensive for me to fly me and my kids off that boat, y'all, I would have got the heck on. But nevertheless, for those of you that like cruising, it says under current law, these ships cannot transport passengers from one U.S. port to another without stopping in a foreign country. It says this bill deems a round-trip voyage between ports in the states of Washington and Alaska as a foreign voyage. So did take a look at it. I just thought it was interesting for those of you that like the cruise ships. They're making it so you can go from Washington, from the state of Washington over to Alaska without stopping in Canada. There must have been there was some sort of regulation that they had to stop in a foreign country. But this is helping the cruise ship industry get back on track, specifically those cruise ships that travel from those 2 states. So that's good news for those of you who want to go on a cruise. Your girl not. Senate Bill 594. Senate Bill 594 is the Anti-Spoofing Penalties Modernization Act of 2021. The Anti-Spoofing Penalties Modernization Act of 2021. This is Senator Collins. This is Senator Susan Collins. She's a Republican out of the state of Maine. It says this bill doubles the penalties for providing misleading or inaccurate caller identification information with intent to defraud, cause harm, or wrongfully obtain anything of value. It says this is the Anti-Spoofing Penalties Modernization Act of 2021. Just a few more, y'all, about 5 more minutes, 5 more bills. We doing good. S595. S595 is the Nuclear SLCM Ban Act of 2021. This is Senator Van Hollen. This is Chris Van Hollen. He's a Democrat out of Maryland. It says this bill prohibits the obligation or expenditure of Department of Defense or Department of Energy funds for fiscal year 2022 or any year thereafter for the research and development, production, or deployment of the nuclear-armed sea-launched cruise missile and its associated nuclear warhead. So they are Chris Van Hollen. Senator Van Hollen says no more to these nuclear weapons. Let's put a ban on this particular warhead, and yeah, he says no more to these nuclear weapons. Senate Bill 595. And I actually looked it up. It says, I wanted to read more about how much this costs. It says back in the military budget case against this SLCM. Yep. So this says in its 2019 cost estimates, the U.S. nuclear weapons program, the CBO projected that the NSLCM will cost $9 billion from 2019 through 2028. So they were about, so his thing is that's $9 billion we probably could spend somewhere else, right? Keeping up with Congress, y'all. Keeping up with Congress. Senate Bill 595. Senate Bill 596 is Treat and Reduce Obesity Act of 2021. Treat and Reduce Obesity Act of 2021. This is Senator Carper, Thomas Carper. He's a Democrat out of Delaware. It says this bill expands Medicare coverage of intensive behavioral therapy for obesity. It says specifically the bill allows coverage for therapy that is provided by one, a physician who is not a primary care physician, two, other healthcare providers, and approved counseling programs. And it says currently such therapy is covered only if provided by a primary care practitioner. So this is given the scope of treating obesity is giving them, it's an opportunity for someone other than a doctor to do it. So Treat and Reduce Obesity Act of 2021. Therapy beyond your primary care physician. Senate Bill 596. Senate Bill 597 is the ERRPA, ERRPA, which stands for, and I thought this was interesting, Senator Benjamin Cardin, Democrat, Maryland. It says this bill establishes a framework to eliminate racial profiling at the federal, state, and local levels. This bill, Senator Cardin, y'all, I looked him up. Like, who's he? Who you? And this is who he is. I'm like, okay. Senator Cardin establishes a framework to eliminate racial profiling at the federal, state, and local level. Yeah. Specifically, it requires federal law enforcement agencies to maintain policies and procedures to eliminate racial profiling, including training, data collection, and complaint procedures. Now, I appreciate that, Senator Cardin. He's an older white legislator that's addressing racial profiling in Racial and Religious Profiling Act. Senate Bill 597. We'll take it. That's him, y'all. Senate Bill 598. Senate Bill 598 is Public Housing Emergency Response Act. This is Senator Warren, Elizabeth Warren. It's the Public Housing Emergency Response Act. This bill authorizes additional assistance from the Public Housing Capital Fund to public housing agencies based upon capital need as determined by the agency's most recent physical needs assessment. So she is looking to put more money into public housing. I want to see her put more money in. Y'all know where I'm going. Let's talk about reparations, Elizabeth Warren. How about get my people out of public housing? I thought about that. Like, do they think that if we had the money, we might move next door to them? Keeping up with Congress, y'all. Keeping up with Congress. I did look a little further, and it says this bill would provide a one-time infusion of $70 billion to HUD's Public Housing Capital Fund to fully address the public housing capital needs backlog. So this is from Elizabeth Warren. It says one clear lesson from 2020 is that housing is healthcare. Ensuring that public housing is safe, decent, and affordable for all current and future residents should be a top priority for Congress and the nation. It says for decades, Congress has turned its back from its obligations to public housing residents, forcing seniors, people with disabilities, and families with young children to live in some public housing homes that are in severe disrepair with mold, no heat or running water, or leaky ceilings and toilets. So she knows what's going on in public housing. I want to get our people out of public housing. Just cut the check. Senate Bill 599, Department of State Student Internship Program Act of This is Department of State Student Internship Act. This is Senator Booker, y'all, Mr. Cory Booker. We have this bill and one more, and I'm almost done. It says this bill requires the Department of State to establish the Department of State Student Internship Program to offer paid internship opportunities at the State Department to raise awareness of the role of diplomacy in the conduct of U.S. foreign policy. So interesting, Cory Booker. I don't know. State Student Internship Program Act. I just want to see Cory do. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Senate Bill 600, y'all. Senate Bill 600. We're at the half hour. This is the Drone Integration and Zoning Act. Drone Integration and Zoning Act. This is Senator Mike Lee, Republican out of Utah. It says this bill requires the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, to prescribe regulations or standards related to unmanned aircraft systems. So they're trying to regulate what people are doing with these drones. The Drone Integration and Zoning Act, Senate Bill 600. Senator Mike Lee, Republican out of Utah, y'all. So we are at the half hour. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey. You know, I come to you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Today is really my Friday. So it's my Friday, really technically, but really not. But I won't see you guys until Monday. But this Saturday, if you are following me right here on YouTube and Clubhouse, be sure to come back to YouTube for this Saturday. I have a special guest, Mr. Reginald. What's Reginald's last name? Jackson. Yes. He's going to be talking about why reparations. He's a historian out of Wisconsin. And we're going to talk about why reparations, y'all. We just got to keep the narrative alive. What they're not talking about in traditional media, we got to use our voices. We got to use our platforms to speak this truth. Continue to speak this truth. So I am Tamara Johnson Shealey, y'all. Go to the website, donate, continue to support, continue to spread the word, and I will see you guys on Saturday. I'll see you Saturday and back here for Keeping Up with Congress on Monday. Y'all have a good weekend. Thank you for tuning in for Keeping Up with Congress. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey, your candidate for the United States Senate. I'm a progressive Democrat that believes that reparations will make America great. It is time that we bridge the divide in this country. Please go to the website. That's tamara4georgia.com. www.tamara, Georgia spelled out.com. Please join me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here for Keeping Up with Congress.